Champions League 2024-25 Top 8. Paris Saint-Germain stormed through the standings after stunning Liverpool, but is a Clasico final now inevitable? Changing Room assesses the remaining teams' hopes of winning this season's tournament after the last 16 clashes. We have reached the final stages of the Champions League, with just 8 teams remaining after last 16 tie that featured some fierce encounters that went to penalties. Paris Saint-Germain deservedly beat Liverpool at Anfield thanks to their talisman Gigi Donnarumma, but Real Madrid's win over Atletico Madrid was less deserved and far more controversial. Elsewhere, Barcelona comfortably beat Benfica, while Arsenal beat PSV on aggregate or Inter beat Feyenoord were no surprises. However, it was a shock to see how comfortable Bayern Munich were against Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen, and the Bavarians' victory marked them out as serious contenders. Borussia Dortmund weren't exactly dominant in beating Lille, but deserved credit for fighting hard given the up-and-down nature of their campaign, while the presence of Aston Villa, who beat Club Brugge in the last 16, was a remarkable story, given this was their first appearance in the European Cup since 1983. But where do we stand now? Which teams are likely to go out in the quarterfinals and who has the potential to go all the way? Goal ranks the remaining teams according to their chances of winning outright based on their form, opponents, momentum, pedigree and quality. Previously updated, March 6, 2025. Teams eliminated in the last 16. Liverpool, PSV, Club Brugge, Atletico Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, Feyenoord, Benfica, Lille. 8. Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund managed a string of surprising wins on their way to last year's final, but their presence in the quarterfinals this season is arguably even more surprising. BVB were on course for a top 8 finish in the league, but their form dropped off sharply during the winter months and ultimately cost Nuri Sahin his job. With the club suffering something of an identity crisis, new coach Niko Kovac has done admirably to drag Dortmund into the last 8 of the Champions League. However, their chances of reaching the semi-finals are slim if they are to face Hansi Flick's brilliant Barcelona. Dortmund do have some quality players, including Serhou Guirassy, who has been one of the stars of the tournament this season, but the draw has favored a largely inconsistent side who currently sit 10th in the Bundesliga. BVB were drawn against a Sporting CP side in the playoffs before seeing off a high-flying Lille in the last 16 with a 2-1 win on Wednesday at the Stade Pierre-Mauroy. Overall, they have done well to get this far. 7. Aston Villa. It's hard to put into words just how well Unai Emery has done since taking over at Aston Villa. Steven Gerrard left the club in poor form, just above the Premier League relegation zone in terms of goals scored, but just 2.5 years later, Villa are in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They will face an informed Paris Saint-Germain side as the underdogs. Despite beating Club Brugge 6-1 on aggregate in the last 16, the 1982 European Cup winners were underwhelming overall. They were helped by their opponents, who scored an own goal and gave away a penalty in the first leg, before being sent off just 16 minutes into the second leg at Villa Park. That said, Villa have nothing to lose. They are formidable at home and their attack was significantly strengthened during the January transfer window with the arrivals of Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio, so we can't rule out the possibility of Emery making a move for one of his former clubs. 6. Arsenal. Arsenal's 2-2 draw with PSV on Wednesday told us nothing about the Gunners' hopes of winning a first European Cup, and, frankly, the same was true of the game as a whole. Mikel Arteta's side certainly deserved credit for beating the Dutch side in Eindhoven, especially as it came at a time when their Premier League title bid was faltering due to a lack of firepower, but a 7-1 scoreline was enough to please the visitors. Arsenal did play well and took their chances, but many of them were given to them by a weakened PSV side. So, while it may seem strange to say that the team that scored 9 goals in their last 16 games still have a lot to prove going into the quarterfinal clash with Real Madrid. However, if Bukayo Saka is fit to feature, it will at least boost Arsenal's hopes of causing an upset. 5. Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich were as impressive against Bayer Leverkusen as they were unconvincing against Celtic in the previous round. Obviously, we have to admit that they were given a huge boost by opponents who we all expected to be much tougher. Xabi Alonso's double was abysmal at the Allianz Arena, effectively handing Bayern a defeat, and the match, with a goalkeeping error, a red card and a penalty. Bayern were scintillating from the first whistle, and they were also very professional in securing a 5-0 aggregate win by beating Leverkusen 2-0 at the Bay Arena on Tuesday. The quarterfinal clash with Inter will give us a clearer indication of the true strengths of the Bundesliga leaders, but Vincent Kompany has done a fine job of solidifying the defense. The talented Joshua Kimmich is still the center of attention in midfield, while Harry Kane continues to score goals thanks to the fact he is surrounded by some of the most lethal players in world football, such as Jamal Musiala, Michael Olise and Kingsley Coman. We have certainly seen that Bayern are prone to power outages in the league phase, but there is no denying that they are in excellent form heading into the latter stages of the tournament. 4. Inter Milan. After Inter cruised to a 4-1 aggregate win over Feyenoord with a 2-1 victory at the San Siro on Tuesday, coach Simone Inzaghi demanded that his side be given a little more respect. And the man has a point. Although Inter reached the final in 2023, when they were unfortunate to lose to Manchester City in Istanbul, their progress and exploits still do not seem to have earned them the recognition they deserve. After all, Inter have the best backline in the competition, a superbly balanced midfield and a complementary attacking duo capable of causing problems for any defense when fit and ready to go. On the downside, Inter's path to the final is fraught with danger. They must get past Bayern Munich and most likely Barcelona to get there. However, this is a team both annoyed and motivated by being seen as useless, and that makes them so dangerous. 3. Paris Saint-Germain. It's official. Paris Saint-Germain are a great club. The state-sponsored club have ditched their obsession with flashy signings in favor of signing players with genuine potential, and we're now watching them develop into a genuinely exciting team under Luis Enrique. PSG played Liverpool off the pitch in the first leg of their Last 16 tie but somehow ran out 1-0 winners, which made their performance at Anfield all the more impressive. The Parisians were not as dominant as they were last week. Indeed, they suffered for long spells while Ousmane Dembele's fortunate opener was beyond belief. PSG, however, never lost their cool, or their threat on the break, and deservedly progressed on penalties after dominating extra time at the home of the Premier League leaders. With Aston Villa set to face them in the quarterfinals, a team that almost fell at the first hurdle of this season's Champions League campaign has now reached its peak at the perfect time. Make no mistake, PSG have a real chance of ending their long, and often traumatic, wait for a first European Cup triumph. 2. Real Madrid. Any other team would have been out of the Champions League. Real Madrid lost 3 times in the league but still managed to reach the knockout stages because the competition's new format is so forgiving. After then reminding them of their qualities by beating Manchester City in the playoffs, they showed their most valuable asset in the last -16 clash with city rivals Atletico. An uncanny knack for finding a way to win, whatever the circumstances. Carlo Ancelotti's side were not at their best in the second leg, but still managed to win on penalties, and in very fortunate fashion, as VAR ruled out Julian Alvarez's spot kick for a double touch, before Jan Oblak somehow failed to keep out Antonio Rudiger's decisive strike. Still, they say you create your own luck, and Madrid are experts at that, so even if the penalty shootout is anything to go by, it's a shame. Their run to the final is still dangerous, but that won't bother them one bit. Los Blancos possess a unique blend of brilliance and belief that should see them through to Munich. 1. Barcelona. Barcelona are far from perfect. Even for the neutral, their high defensive line is a constant source of pressure. There's always the feeling that it could be breached by a quick attack at any moment. However, the risks are well worth the rewards as far as Hansi Flick is concerned, and it's hard to question his approach at the moment, not when Barcelona are winning so many games and playing such fantastic football. The full backs are always looking to get forward. Pedri is a joy to watch in the middle of the park, while Rafinha and Lamine Yamal are arguably 2 of the best attacking talents in the world. We said after the league stage that the draw was a beautiful open one for the Blaugrana, and they look perfectly placed to take full advantage after beating Benfica 4-1 on aggregate to set up another highly winnable tie at this stage of the competition against Borussia Dortmund. In short, Barca remain the team to beat in this year's tournament, and a Clásico final is still very much a possibility. Thanks for watching.